Wow, the diamond. Such a beautiful jewel that everyone covets, especially women, right? We all want one. We all dream about the day that hopefully somebody, somewhere will find us and like us enough to actually give this to us, propose to us. Look at it, I mean, it's exquisite in all of its glory. Doesn't really need much. It's beautiful. It's priceless. But now take a look. That's the diamond in its natural state. Where's all the glamour now? It's not so beautiful anymore. I mean, it's kind of stuck in that rock. You can see it. It's dull. It's unappealing. There's nothing attractive about it at all. However, there's still value there. And that precious stone, we don't really think about the process that it takes from going to this to making its way to a display case at Tiffany's. Now, speaking of process, the diamond and other gems, so precious stones, sapphires, amethysts, rubies, are all formed in the Earth's crust under extreme pressure and great heat. Not only that, the process of extracting them from the earth is even more rigorous. We have to dig deep, sometimes 5 kilometers down, into mines to actually unearth the rock, to grind it and process it and refine it, and do that over and over again, and then polish it until it's ready. And I would argue that the process and the approach that we're taking to STEM education for girls really needs to be more reflective of the process of taking a jewel from its natural state into a point where it's ready to be put on display. And I say that because I've been a math teacher for 8.5 years, and I know I've been guilty of it. Calling on the same students over and over again, and research shows that it's usually boys over girls. And not only that, calling on that one student who always has their hand in the air, but neglecting the ones that maybe perhaps sit at the back of the classroom but are equally as capable. And not to mention that, but we also have girls that we're not reaching simply because they're not found in our private schools. They're not in the public schools. When you think about it globally, there is an inequality in terms of access to education. Some girls can't even get to school because they're responsible for getting water. And that's what they do all day. So we have to change our approach if we want to find our gems. And they are worth finding. They are precious. They are beautiful. I was looking at this young one here. I don't know where she is. But I was looking at her play and thought of how precious and beautiful she is in her own confidence and way. And her mom said, "You, Mom?" She's sitting here like, "Yeah, I know, because I made her." And girls are rare, and they're durable. They can withstand the pressure, despite what we're told. Now, as a student in the U.S., I attended the University of Texas at Austin. I got a Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics. Now, that might seem like, a great thing, and lots of people do it, but as a person of color, as a minority, that was very uncommon back in the 90s. I recall sitting in classrooms of this size and looking around and seeing nothing but guys and maybe one other girl. Well, we know that 30% of all the world science researchers are women, less than that. There's a problem and there's a gap, and in order to fill the pipeline of STEM, we need to change our methods and our approaches of reaching girls to make science and mathematics more interesting, but not only that, creating the environment in which they would want to explore these careers. Now, a study by the New York Academy of Sciences called the Global STEM Paradox talks about an issue that we have globally. Right now, worldwide, we have more STEM graduates than ever before. That's a huge accomplishment. But on the other hand, we actually have jobs that are continuing to go unfulfilled. How is this possible? Well, this report, this study that looked at 50 different scholarly reports and industry, interviews by leading experts in academia and business, it looks at a deeper complexity that we're overlooking. We need to focus on an ecosystem that fosters the desire in students to want to learn. We can't just say, oh, it's the university's fault, or it's the school's fault, because they're not teaching math and science with the rigor that they need to. We can't place the blame there anymore. We've seen changes in the academic standards, especially in the States where I'm from, and how those even affect here, and other countries around the world choosing to adopt those standards. Even with those changes, it's still not enough. So this study actually advises us to create a system or community that involves businesses, government policy, community activism, that will create the right environment and the right circumstances for students to want to choose STEM careers. Now, what does that mean for girls? And how are we going to make that change? Now, if that's the issue globally, and we see shortages, for example, in the United States, who have world-class universities and produce these STEM majors, however, the skills that we're teaching in class, they don't match what our employers need. Whereas you go to somewhere like China or Brazil, and they, in India, are turning out graduates at an extremely fast pace, yet they don't have the employment opportunity. And then you look at a country like Rwanda or Vietnam, who has incentivized private sector to invest in STEM. However, their top graduates, their best and brightest students, are choosing to work in another country. So no nation is really doing this well. But I would like to suggest that the UAE is actually in a nice position. Why? Because your girls are actually outperforming boys in math and science in international studies. Sorry, guys. Not to mention, in your universities, your student population is 71% female. That's impressive. You have a reverse gender gap. And within your STEM graduates, 50% are female. That's outstanding. And with the advancements in technology and aviation and green energy that you are exploring, your girls are in the prime position to actually fill the global STEM pipeline. Now, I would suggest that the process for which we do this is called the 5-carat gems. These are the core areas that I fundamentally believe, as a math teacher and as a STEM educator, we have to focus on for girls. And those areas are academics, career, creativity, leadership, and service. I think when we talk about girls, and I think of myself as a young girl, always interested in math and science, never really interested in playing with dolls. I needed to have these certain themes, dynamics in place for me to be successful. So academics, we have to have the rigor. Girls have to feel confident enough, especially starting in middle school, grade 6, our research shows that's when their self-perception of what they can do mathematically changes. They self-opt out of taking advanced courses in AP classes for some reason. But we have to keep the standard high for them. We can't lower the bar and have high expectations for boys and lower expectations for girls. But at the same time, we have to go further as educators and look within the standards and look at the data to see where girls are falling behind. And we have to create the right curriculum and the after-school programs and summer learning programs to catch girls up in those areas. Now, secondly, we must provide career exploration opportunities. Now, for some reason in first grade, I wanted to be a firefighter. Go figure. It had to be a field trip where we went to the fire station and we got to put on the equipment, and we got to slide down the pole and get on the truck. And for whatever reason, that's what I wanted to do with my life. So So the power, and I use that as an example to show you that the power of a child seeing himself or herself in the future is great. So we have to find career women who work for oil companies or architectural firms or what have you, who are willing to come back into the community and mentor girls and volunteer and tell them about the challenges that they're going to face, because they have already walked the path that our students are walking right now. Now, third, creativity. Sir Ken Robinson, one of the most famous TED speakers of all time, he said that traditional school is killing creativity. And I believe it. I'm a former teacher. Now, what this means for girls is that we have to give them project-based learning opportunities that you've heard about today. They have to be willing to build things, repurpose materials, create things, tear things apart. They have to be willing to evaluate their work, going through a process, looking at prototypes, learning from their mistakes, documenting. All of those things have to be in place to generate a creative mind. Going even further, we have to develop girls in leadership. I worked for a tech company before I came into teaching, and I was on the product development team for Texas Instruments. Now, I was young at the time, and it was full of men, I remember that, but I remember feeling like in meetings, no one's really paying attention to my idea. And I don't think it's because it's a bad idea. I think it's just because it's coming from me. And so we have to teach girls how to persevere through that. Those are the 21st century skills that all students have to have. How to handle conflict, how to work through it, how to overcome challenges, how to communicate your idea, how to reevaluate your work and think critically. So that leadership development has to be in place. And it doesn't have to be adult-driven. I've worked with girls for the past 10 years where I go find high school and college students who are at STEM academies or they're studying a STEM major at the university, and they come in and they teach leadership to middle school girls. How powerful is that? And then last but not least, here's where I really think we're missing the mark, is service learning opportunities. Girls have this natural state of wanting to help mom, wanting to help dad, wanting to help anybody. And I believe that when we take that natural desire and we give them opportunities to go serve in the community and apply their content knowledge at the same time, I think we can get some better ideas. For example, I took a group last summer to a senior living home. And what we did, and what those girls did, they came up with their own curriculum, and they spent all day teaching seniors basic technology skills. How to surf the internet, how to set up an email account, how to clean up your email, how to download Facebook and participate in social media so they can correspond with their grandchildren. It was great watching girls give back the technology skills that they had to the older generation. And I believe that there are girls in this audience, in fact, and all around the world who have the solution using apps to assist deaf and blind children, to be able to communicate with autistic children. We have the power to find those solutions. Now, we can't stop there with that curriculum. We actually have to go further. Sorry about that. And this is my main point right here. I think where we're failing is not only that holistic approach, but also the global connection. The network that actually is formed if we were able to connect girls internationally. So I can imagine a student in South America and a student in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for example, doing some type of exchange via technology, sharing their experiences and what they've learned and what they're going through in their STEM studies. I think that's a powerful thing to do. But going a step even further is giving them the opportunity to participate in exchange programs. like most university students are doing. Why not take that down to the middle school and high school level for girls? Creating similar experiences all around the globe to where they can participate and learn from each other and meet women of different cultures. We know that there are benefits in studying abroad. Not only do you build confidence, but you also gain a valuable skill set and you begin to understand your own personal values as well as those biases that we all have about particular cultures. Now, this is a picture from last summer. And I told you earlier that I get together with about 20 girls. They apply to be a part of a program from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texas. And we take them through an extensive path of developing and building confidence so that they can choose to be engineers, or choose to be scientists, or choose to be mathematicians. These girls are not going to bend. They're not going to be frail when the pressure's on. They're going to stay in those courses, they're going to pass those exams, and they're going to be all that they were created to be. And I say that because I know this is true. Diamonds start here, but through an extenuating process. We polish them, and then we put them on display for all the world to see, because they are beautiful, our girls are rare, and they can handle